Morning, everybody. Today is November 14, 2024. It's Thursday, and we're here for a work session. As we start all our meetings, could we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ken, do you mind leading us? Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Okay, first matter on the open session we have is from the Planning Department. It's matters surrounding a special permit for clubhouse, trade shops, and managers' residence at Sandy Pond Golf Club, 1495 Roanoke Avenue, Riverhead. We have, we want to have everybody come up?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on up, everybody.
I can slide down.
Yeah, they might. Oh, yeah, we have.
We have seating for all.
We have extra seating if we need it.
Good. Before we get started, I want to say, Brian, how nice it looks up there, how well the mini course came out, and it's just such an improvement. Really good deal. Very happy to have this in the town.
Actually was able to play there, and we had such a good time. And it's actually, you actually had to figure out a couple of the holes. It's not, one of them was not very easy. It was kind of cool. Really enjoyed it.
Was it the waterfall one?
Yes. Yeah.
A little difficulty here? Is this like a par 70, or what are we doing?
We were at a loss of a learning curve for one of them. It was great. Great addition to the town.
That's great.
Oh, okay.
All right. So just, I'll try to go over this pretty quickly. So this is a special permit for the Sandy Pond links. There's a proposed 3,100 square foot clubhouse, construction of a approximately 1,000 square foot property manager's residence, and construction of 3 new 7,200 square foot trade shops, along with related parking improvements. It is a type 1 action under our Riverhead Environmental Quality Review Code. This was always sort of planned from the initial application, as the board will recall, when Mr. Stark came in for the mini golf. They had not yet taken title to the property, so they were not able to actually submit the application for this. Had they done that, it would have all been done in one shot, but this is just phase 2. So as the board will recall, there was a 1-story masonry building which was previously used as Riverhead cement block. Various states of somewhat dilapidated. Mr. Stark demolished those, which they were surely blighted, surely could have been qualified under our town's blighted property code. So he's proposing to reconstruct, I said, 3 7,200 square foot trade shops. Tenants or uses are not really identified as of yet, but I'm assuming they would be like contractor trade storage, just general small scale industrial use. Proposed clubhouse, no objection to the clubhouse. I mean, a clubhouse would be customarily accessory to a golf course. They did provide floor plans. The layout of the clubhouse is not really conducive to like a large scale catering facility, so I don't know that necessarily there's much concern about it becoming really a catering facility. 25 bar seats, food service being provided in that clubhouse. I did get some memos from the fire marshal and from the water district. Really have no objections to this. The manager's clubhouse, obviously, we want to ensure that there's a groundskeeper on site to ensure safety, maintenance of the facility. Really no objections to this. It was always understood that this was going to be phase 2 of the project, so we're just moving it along. But we do have to do a type 1 coordination, unfortunately, because it is a type 1 action under SECRA. I can prepare a resolution for the town board to classify that, get the coordination out. I don't see any issue with scheduling a public hearing concurrently while that 30-day review period is taking place. We'll probably end up completing the 30-day review by the time the public hearing happens anyway, and we can wrap it up. The determination of significance after that.
Sounds good to me. I like the place.
Yeah, it's such an improvement, and I've been past there at night too, and the lighting is not an issue whatsoever. I know we spoke about that early on in the project. definitely not an issue the way it's been buffered and set up and everything, so it's another nice amenity for the town of Riverhead to have.
I do recall when I was on the planning board, seeing the renderings for, what is proposed for phase 2, and I remember that we were all kind of in agreement at that point that that was going to be good for the area, for the property, so.
Does have any questions of the town?
I think it's a great project.
All right, so I'll prepare those resolutions to get
It's a
us.
tough board, huh?
We'll make it look pretty, trust me.
Yeah, absolutely. Put it up for the public hearing and we'll go from there.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
folks.
appreciate it. If your day goes this smooth all day, you'll be okay.
All right.
It's early yet though, Earl. It's early. Okay, next up we have planning matters surrounding Island Water Park site plan amendment with Bergman.
All right. So as the board, I'm sure everyone is aware, there's been a lot of coverage on this topic. We've got a complete application for the Island Water Park site plan amendments. Obviously, there were improvements that were constructed on the site illegally without any types of permits or approvals, including a construction of approximately 113,000 square foot go-kart track, approximately 13,000 square foot pickleball court, and they're also seeking to convert a 3,500 square foot second floor area, which was initially identified as storage, to a 250 seat catering space. It is an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA. I do recommend coordinated review with the New York State DEC, Suffolk County Department of Health Services. Obviously, the Planning Commission needs a referral, and I am remiss, I do apologize, I missed the Riverhead Industrial Development Agency as an involved agency, so when we send out that coordination, they will get a copy of the application. Page 2 of the report has just aerials before and after. Again, I'm sure we're all aware of where the construction took place. It was sort of on that peninsula on the southern end of the parking area. Regarding the use of the lake, I did receive a memo from the applicant's design professional indicating that bumper boats that were initially mentioned and proposed will not be used on the lake. I do consider the existing Ninja Warrior inflatable obstacle course, I do consider that to be non-motorized use of the lake. No objection to that. I've already rendered an opinion on that. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring to the board's attention there have been things that have been brought to the attention of the town attorney's office. Apparently there are social media posts that identify what appears to be a power boat being operated on the lake, riding around the Ninja Warrior course. So, I mean, I don't think it's really a question of this took place at Island Water Park, so I'm sure the board would just like to be aware of it. I did notice during my site visit, there were some drainage inlets installed in proximity to the go-kart track, which appeared to have outfalls into the lake. I did just receive correspondence this morning from J.R. Holtzmacher, who is the design professional on the project. They are in the process of going through DEC approvals and health department approvals regarding the drainage design. Again, my just initial concern was that we've clearly seen that they intend to use this for go-kart tracks. There's videos where they're driving automobiles on this. If there was ever any types of spills of fluids or liquids or some types of hazardous materials, and if obviously those inlets with those outfalls being directed into the lake, potential source for contamination to the lake. So they are addressing that. Applicant's design professional did state that the go-karts are gas-powered and they will be stored off-site during the season. They did not intend any large-scale storage of gasoline or fuel. They basically said they're going to get, like 10-gallon gas cans and fill them up on a daily basis, and that they'll be filled prior to arrival. Regarding the proposed parking, they're not proposing any expanded parking. They do have 390 stalls that are provided, where 385 parking stalls are required based on the total number of uses. I did note the original site plan approval sort of allocated 60 parking stalls for the outdoor uses. That is consistent with this current plan. So even though there's an intensification, there's still stating that 60 parking stalls would be sufficient for their proposed uses, which there's really no guidance or requirements for outdoor recreation in our code. So it's sort of, I think there was always sort of a little bit of an estimate as to what the anticipated demand would be for those outdoor recreation uses. Again, I do recommend coordinated review, so I would prepare a resolution. During that secret coordination period, we'd get it out to the Planning Commission, the Health Department, DEC. I do note that during the initial review of their amended plan several years ago, the Pine Barrens had issued a resolution stating that Island Water Park project is considered economic development and it's located within the EPCAL fence line, and it did not constitute development pursuant to the, the comprehensive land use plan, so it took Pine Barrens out of jurisdiction of the application. I do note, I had been to the site, I've seen some reports about, I know they're consulting with the DEC, there was some initial comments from the DEC that they were in violation. I had met out on the site during their last site plan approval with Mr. Myers as well as Bob Yeager, who worked in the Division of Mineral Resources for the New York State DEC. Mr. Yeager was well aware of what the proposed plan was, and I understand that Mr. Myers is sort of working to square that up with the DEC. So I guess when Mr. Yeager retired, you had a couple of new people in there who sort of took over the case and weren't aware of the prior conversations and the prior discussions. So
Greg and I had an email from Bob Yeager saying his only concern is the footprint of the lake. He did not care about parking, building, anything else with the site. DEC's focus is on making sure the lake is stable and okay.
Where are we with the water monitoring?
The covenants had been filed. They were filed last month. They were signed by Mr. Scott on October 3rd, and subsequently filed by our Water District Council. We don't have the filed copy back from the county center yet, but I have the library page if anybody wants it.
Our first test is this Friday. That's
what I was gonna
at
ask
your
next.
level. It's this Friday.
Okay.
I'm doing it through East End Environmental
Okay.
and Long Island Analytics. And I can tell you, when you're a bathing beach, the health department tests you every week of the summer, and they said it's the cleanest water they've ever seen. So these results are going to be fantastic.
Good. We want to keep it that way.
We will.
Good.
So walk through what's the next steps?
So we will we'll do a resolution for secret coordination, obviously send the packets out to the involved agencies, wait 30 days before we can assume lead agency and make a determination of significance. So I'd like to just get written confirmation from the DEC that they're reviewing it, detail exactly what they need to close out their mine lands permit, just confirmation that they're okay with the proposals.
Public hearing done during that interim, or you gotta wait on the public hearing?
If the board that's the board's discretion if you'd like to hold the public hearing. And again, depending on your determination of significance, if you go through any kind of scoping or environmental review, there would be an additional hearing. But if the board would like to hold a public hearing while we wait for that 30-day review period.
I would,
Yeah.
absolutely. I have a question though, when you say that, which part of this is seeker involved? Do you have to do this on
The action.
the go-kart,
The
pickleball court?
The entire act.
all three of them.
The whole action.
All three of them?
The whole
Any action by a municipal board, a planning board, town board, etc., is required to undergo an environmental quality review. It's like putting on your pants before you leave the house. It
Sometimes
has to
they'll
done.
be in type 2, which requires no additional review, but
Right.
in this case, it's,
I'm just looking at the 3,500 square feet on the second floor. He's saying all the permits are there for that, so I don't
Well,
understand.
there's no CO for that.
It was initially identified as storage.
No,
I do remember when this came up. I said, it does seem a bit odd that you need a storage space that has access to the outdoor patio. Honestly, I kind of anticipated there would be some type of use other than storage there, but if the intent is to have any type of catering use, a 250-seat event space will obviously increase sanitary flow. I don't know if they need any health department, like food control permits or anything like that. I know they have a full kitchen, full restaurant on the first floor. I don't know if there's any intent to put additional
So-
kitchen space.
It would just be a warming kitchen, which really doesn't even fall under a kitchen. And we have approval of 275 seats
From the health
upstairs
department?
from the health department.
Can you,
For, yeah, I can provide that to you. I'll get it to you
does the
today.
planning department have that?
Yes. Our sanitary, I thought that this may come up at some point, so the sanitary's been approved to, I think it's 275, don't hold me to that, but it's at least 250 for upstairs sanitary as a catering hall. It's in our initial site plan that was approved.
And that's in addition to the
Yes.
first floor restaurant?
Everything, yes.
So, but is that still, is the second floor still a type 1 action?
The whole action, I mean, it's all one application. We're not separating, we're not segmenting. I mean,
You can't split
it's
them.
all part of one application.
Question.
Can I ask a question before we go forward with this? What about the emergency road access? What's the status of that?
We're in review. It went far over budget by something that's way above standards. So we're discussing with our council, like, who's responsible for that. There's parts of it that the town has accepted. I've been working with Anne Marie, and I'm supposed to have an answer to her by tomorrow.
So I just don't see why we'd be going forward on any other additional changes if they haven't complied with the emergency road access first, which was part of the original agreement.
Well, we
right?
paid $187,000 of it. So it's, the bulk of it has been paid, and then it came in. If I were managing it, I promise you it wouldn't come in 18% over budget. So it did come in that high. So it's something that we're looking at as to what happened. We weren't in charge of who did the site plan, who, the surveying, so I don't know how it went this far off the rails. So throwing around $35,000 is a lot of money to me, so we're just reviewing that part of it. But the town has had $187,000 for over a year now.
I spoke to Vinnie Gordiello just a few days ago, and he said there were some items in which was done that was specifically done on the town side.
Right.
Like we did an initial cleanup over there, and we did a little more.
I don't think there's any malice on anybody's part, but it did go
Well,
far
definitely
over
not. He
budget.
said that he was reviewing the current bill with you, and that should be rectified in the next few days.
Yeah. We have a dead stop for tomorrow. We're going to have a discussion and resolve it.
So.
Okay. And then I'll just note that although we have the civil litigation against Scotts Point pending, the town board's review of this application is going to be sort of a separate analysis. The two things aren't tied to each other. Once an application is filed with the planning department, they're obliged to process it in the normal course. And so in this instance, because it's an urban renewal area, that site plan review goes to the town board. And so the planning department is moving it through the normal process, separate and apart from how we proceed with the litigation.
Yeah.
Right.
So tomorrow, you're saying tomorrow that should be resolved?
We're going to sort it out, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I agree with Denise, that should be resolved before we move forward with anything, so as
I
long
have
as that's
a
resolved.
little bit different view on that. I think they're two separate projects. So I would like to see both of them resolved, but not conjoined.
Well, the emergency road was a condition of their amended site plan approval from a couple of years ago.
Was
So,
it?
yeah.
It's just that for me, when I spoke to the fire marshal way back, this could have been done a lot easier, just by widening their entrance onto parkland. They put the road on parkland. I was told, no, they can't widen the entrance onto parkland, but you can put the road on parkland. And that was.
Well, in our defense,
that
then
was-
it did change the scope, kept changing. Originally, it was, we just had to put RCA, and they were like, that will be fine, and then the town will take over from here, and then it was, all right, we want first lift, and then all of a sudden it was, they wanted the road completed, and that changed well after the site plan was approved, but I'm not here to, chop up an old story.
Yeah, I mean, this project, I mean, over approximately 25 years, I mean, going back to, I think it was 2001 when the property was initially subdivided. I mean, my understanding initially it was just going to be essentially like a lake recreational use. There were no structures or, buildings of this size initially proposed. So they subdivided this piece out with a 24-foot wide flag, which by our code only serves for literally two-way traffic, one lane in, one lane out. 25 years ago, I don't think that there was any type of envisioning of a project of this scale. Obviously, if you were going back, this should have been done with a 55-foot wide flag that would serve as, appropriate access, allow for like shoulders, emergency access. So, I mean, again, it's just due to the evolution and the project changing over the course of 25 years. We were sort of in a box where the fire marshal wanted emergency access, which, if there was some type of accident or some type of car fire on that 24-foot flag serving as access to Island Water Park, that could create a very dangerous situation. So I don't disagree with the fire marshal's assessment of that at all.
I don't either. I mean, that's not my point. My point was when I spoke to the fire marshals, before I really knew anything about it, we were over there, and I said, let them widen it. If we're going to widen into the parkland, we'll widen it here on the entrance and exit. That's all. And then it became this whole thing where, no, we're going to we can't do it on parkland, but we can later and make a new road. Would have been a lot less expensive and a lot less onerous on the park, blah, blah, blah. But water under the bridge.
Can we just address the drainage and the runoff real quick? Because there's going to be motorized go-karts on this pathway here, and it does have a chance of, if there's any runoff from oil or anything from the go-karts, that would be contaminating the water. Is there something that's able to be put in place? I don't know a lot about drainage, but is there an extra step of like a capture?
So, I mean, they could do,
Something-
so that sort of kind of opens up the discussion a little bit to the nature of the use of the go-kart tracks. Like I said, go-karts themselves do not have significant capacities of, fuels, but like we've seen videos where, racing automobiles, like if there was a crash or something happened where, there's a lot more potentially hazardous materials in a automobile than there is in a go-kart. I think that is something that the board really should consider on what's appropriate. I can have the applicant talk to their design professional. I mean, they do have oil separators. There are things that will catch materials and filter them out before they are, discharged to groundwater or allowed to recharge. But that is something that we need to consider.
I think we do need to consider, especially when you're saying, Ken, that, this water is going to be tested as so clean, and I want to keep it that way.
I agree.
So, just seeing this
The
pipe.
use of the cars was really obviously unfortunate, but it was, for a social media thing, it's going to be a go-kart track. It's really tiny for anything else. If you go and you see it, Greg was on site with me the other day, it's big for a go-kart track, but it certainly isn't a racetrack.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the common use is absolutely going to just be like 10 go-karts at a time. And we have a parking lot already that facilitates 500 cars. So that's right next to the lake as well. So these things they will work out and will comply to whatever we need to do to make sure the water's pristine. We need it pristine as much as you guys do.
Right.
For our guest safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
And perception 100%.
Good.
I would ask that you consider doing a public hearing so at least we can run.
I absolutely would want to do a public hearing. I want to
Let's
hear
get-
from
let's get-
the
let's-
residents.
I'd like to dismiss some of the rumors and everything like that, and I would love for them to see how clean the water is. The test will be in by then, so I think it would be good for everybody. So
I
we can
agree.
dispel some
I
of
agree.
this.
I think that you've had a lot of negative press, and I
It's
actually
on a-
hear
it's-
from residents that are kind of saying to me, come on, we want to be able to bring our kids
The guests
here.
leave here ecstatic. It's a nice place.
I
Most of
understand.
you have been there and seen what we do. It's good food. It's a good place. It's healthy. It's safe. It's a nice environment. And obviously, week in and week out, these articles that regurgitate the same hate towards us, I just think they're not in the proper light. I think we deserve a hearing and to try to dispel some of this and let us speak up for once.
100% agree.
I think you built something without approval,
No,
and
that I
that's
agree.
you caused a lot of
I
negative press.
agree, but I think it's now beyond. It's every week. It's just, and it's regurgitating the same things from 10 years ago. So yes, we made a mistake. That I 100%, and I apologize for that, and I have apologized for that. But we're here now. This project, if someone had built a garage on their house, would you make them tear down the whole garage? You would make them get into compliance. This track in relation to our project is about the size of putting a shutter. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
I just disagree with your analogy.
Okay.
But all I'm saying too is you're still subject to DEC approval,
100%.
whether or not they're going to allow this as well.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so secret coordination, schedule a public hearing to run concurrently with that coordination period.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Move it along.
Good.
Anything else?
So can we have the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a date, I'll work out, I'll see what'll work.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time.
You got it.
Okay, next up, we have matter surrounding update on the development of Town Square with Ms. Dawn.
Good morning. I think I'm just
morning.
gonna ask, could you have Frank in for a second there? Yeah. And if Joe is in, yeah, let's take some on.
I have it, thanks.
Yes, I do.
And I
Thank you.
have, okay, thank you.
Frank and Joe, if Joe, everybody, if they're here, they know I wanted them to come down. Yeah. So, and I'll just intro by, this is a similar presentation to the one that we did not too long ago, just to give the board the update. So much work has been going on for the last 6 months, and I know it doesn't look like it outwardly, and so we wanted to really just update and make this sort of a regular occurrence so that everyone can see where we're at and what's happening. So I'll give them a couple of seconds to get here.
We discussed it briefly this morning at the Vineyards. The News Review had a breakfast meeting for the public on the future of Riverhead, and this is certainly one of the items we discussed. And
Yeah.
I explained to them, that everybody's like, well, all you got there is grass, all this money, and all you got there is grass. Well, there's a process, and
Yes.
the process is lengthy, and the process is, quite honestly, complicated.
Very
And
complicated.
it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, because you get grant A, but before you can do grant A, you need to have grant B, but you can't move on past that because grant C now has to fit in when A and B are done, and there's like a whole, you need a whole whiteboard just to keep track of how it is.
Literally exactly that way, and I call it like a steeplechase.
Right.
Run down the track, hit the wall, run over the wall, land in the
Yep,
fire, figure
right.
out how to put the fire out, go to the next thing. And so, just for an overall perspective point of view, the grant applications that we make are conceptual. And so once we get the funding, then we go into actual design. And actual design, as you said, is complicated. It involves surveys, subdivisions, location of utilities, engineering, flood mitigation, structures. It involves grant management. It involves coordination between our department and the law department and the building department and the planning department. We have weekly and bi-weekly meetings with all the designers that we picked. We had to do an RFP to have those people selected pursuant to the grant. That process was a little bit of a time-consuming process. Then we have to get those people into contracts. Those contracts take a little bit of time, and then, and then we move into the actual design, which involves, analysis of what's there, understanding the site conditions, soils, where utilities are located, and then we go from there into, actual design, which is public engagement. So we've had multiple public meetings relating to the design. And so, that, it seems like it's just a pile of grass. I said the one thing I do say about the, the grass access point is that it's been very encouraging to us, just in the fact that it's organically being used by the public, and it really has done the first goal of this project, which was to open up the Main Street to the riverfront. And so I'll just get to this presentation quick. We talk about Town Square. There's really 6 major components to that, which is the upper Town Square, which is where the green grass is now, the lower Town Square, which is the parking lot that exists just to the south of that, which will then include a playground, a public gathering space, and a splash pad. Then the amphitheater, which is on the lower section of the East End Arts Council. We were awarded multiple grants for Main Street Complete Streets, which is, if you're familiar with West Hampton's improvements to their Main Street, the curb bump outs, the traffic mitigation, the walkability improvements, lighting, landscaping, stormwater runoff components, and then we have the hotel public-private partnership piece, and then the First Street parking garage. So just to give you a quick update on the, we have surveys are all completed, all the new lot lines have been drawn, utility easements, and then cross-access easements even between the town square and the private development that will occur on the east side of the town square. So who's going to be able to get their utilities and their sewer and their water and their electric and their fiber optic cable. We've had extensive conversations with the electrical people and with the police department, coordinating, making sure that the electrical serves their needs in terms of camera locations. We've been coordinating with them and a specific lighting designer to make sure that the camera locations are good, that they can't be Wi-Fi in those locations because the way the buildings are would, so we're really, if you, like, it's really every single department in the town that's been involved here. And stakeholder meetings with the BERGMAN and the chamber and, multiple others. So the funding is, we're overfunded on that project based on the estimates we have right now. We are anticipating asking the state of New York to slide some of that funding to the next project, which is the Lower Town Square, which is a little short. But you can see the list of funding that we have available, which is New York State Parks, DRI, Brownfield Opportunity Area, private matches, and then Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization. The total cost of the playground right now is estimated at 2.96. We're about $1.8 million short, which seems like a lot, but if you take the $1.6 million that we're over from the Upper Town Square and slide that down, it makes that difference very minimal.
And you need the state to approve that.
Yes, we have to have the state to approve that. We want to just make sure all our numbers are good. We just got I think Monday or Tuesday, the estimate from the consultant on these numbers, so we can now go to the state and ask them to slide that money over for us. We've had conversations with National Grid about playground equipment. We're going to be looking for private donations of different things, naming rights. Suffolk County has been very helpful to us. They are funding the splash pad. And that playground will always be available to add and change, just like the aquarium, they add and change attractions and exhibits. Those can be modified over time. Then we'll just cut down to the amphitheater, which is...
I just want to back up for a second.
Sure.
So the Suffolk County's going to supply the splash pad for us,
Yes,
the funding?
a significant amount of the funding. We think the whole thing, we're not 100% sure yet, but right now it's half funded.
And that's the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Grants.
And we just continue to apply, so we'll get to the schedule here shortly, but what we think is going to happen so people can understand how close we are after grinding through all this work for the last 6 months. The amphitheater is the least, where we have the least funding. We have a grant application pending for $3 million. The design right now is preliminary. It will be finalized, so we need to complete the final design. We do have to relocate the buildings at the East End Arts Council, lift them up, change the grade to protect it from flooding. And then, once we receive, hopefully, the funding this fall, we should hear on the most recent funding, which came through the Pro Housing Community Grant opportunity that we worked on in the spring. We can, I think, look for additional funding from multiple different locations. So we think that's getting closer, but again, the way these projects are designed, they stand alone. They do not need to be all done at once, so that could wait a little bit until we actually have all the funding for it.
Could you separate out, just curiosity, the new construction of the apartment building that's going to be next to Town Square, or I should say just further down the road?
Yes.
Do we have an idea, like, on towards how much revenue we could generate by allowing them to stage on the property for a period of time versus the cost of moving these buildings.
Yes.
So like, can we separate out of here the buildings with the amphitheater so we kind of get a little better idea, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
How much will the amphitheater be versus how much moving those buildings? And if we do,
it's about 50-50. The moving of the buildings, we think is gonna be about 2 million, and then we think the construction of the amphitheater will be between 2 and 2.8 is the number we have, but the final design is not complete. But we have been discussing the staging agreement as we've talked privately about this. That staging agreement, it looks to us preliminarily, and it's not settled yet, but that the fill that could come from that would be about $600,000 worth of value to us, and so it could be put right into this project to reduce the cost. So we're working on that, again, not finalized, we have.
this is awesome the way you're doing this, like breaking everything down into components, and maybe just to separate the housing from the actual amphitheater construction. Because one might go quicker than the other, right? The buildings might be moved, or the amphitheater might be built.
Yes, and that's TBD. I think the buildings have to be moved first. That's the probably,
sense,
and
right.
then that grade, that natural grade, the tiering of the seating for the amphitheater would be created from the slope from up to lower.
Yeah.
So, this is the least funded right now, but I don't think we're gonna have any problem funding it. And again, we've been working on these projects, and the funding started coming in 2019, and every year we've been able to secure additional funding. So I think we're going to continue to be able to do that. We have great partners at New York State and the federal government now, at the DOT, and in the county of Suffolk. So I really, I think everybody's behind all of this, and we continue to move forward. And as it gets closer, people get more excited, and so I think we get more buy-in at that point too.
Are there timeframes when certain things must be done in order to keep those grants active? Is there like deadlines, like shovels gotta be in the ground, or projects must be completed by?
I can let Frank talk to that, but I think there's contractual deadlines, but those are flexible because they understand that these projects can flex and change depending on what's happening in the world. So,
I don't have the exact date. I think it was 2028 that construction needs to be completed by, so they have some time.
Which project? The 2020, do you
The
know which?
DRI projects,
DRI projects,
the DRI
yes.
projects, yeah, we don't have that for the RAISE grant yet, but we think it'll be around the same time frame. And so, yeah, and those are good things for us to have, those deadlines, keep things moving. We've been literally cranking along on this for years now. So, and then the next component is the streetscapes, which we have $750,000 from DRI and $10 million from RAISE. We don't have a shortage there. This is a little dated, but our design has been completed now, 100% design development's completed. So that's just a matter, and we're in permitting now with New York State DOT, and we have a letter from them now on their comments, and so that's moving forward because State Route 25 is their road, and so we're going to be improving their road, and they always have something to say
Are
about
we
that.
still talking about narrowing that road?
Yes, the design development includes narrowing that road, yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm not in favor of that, for the record. Anybody else that's in favor can be in favor, but I don't mind being the lone wolf all the time. Can you just explain?
It's needed for the calming of traffic, number one, because you're going to be expecting a lot of pedestrian traffic. And we also want to have these sidewalks a bit wider to accommodate some outdoor seating and sandwich boards and bike racks like we saw in the demonstration. And what they did in West Hampton is incredible because you can cross the street there without fear of taking your life in your hands. Main Street gets a little zippy sometimes down there.
And that's because it's wide, it's
Right,
very wide. I
right.
don't know the exact number, it's like 111 feet wide. And so what we want to do is make it more pedestrianized. And
Correct.
so, as you said, widen the sidewalks, narrow the road like in West Hampton. It keeps the traffic from going, and this is, I'm sure Ed Frost can tell you this, that when you have, or you even from PD experience, when you have a long straightaway road, you just adjust your speed just without even thinking about it. But if there are things that are keeping you moving slowly, and we want the traffic to move slowly because we want people to walk.
Right.
We want people to park in the garage, park once, that's the idea of complete streets. park once and walk everywhere. So we're improving the pedestrian realm, which is wider sidewalks, better landscaping, more lighting, which we're adding more lighting to Main Street, per the plan, seating, and amenity space, which is for the sandwich boards or any display you want to do of your products, and then walking space. And the other important piece is making sure that everything downtown is accessible. So the sidewalks that we have now are narrow, they're lifted in certain areas. We're replacing all the street trees because the pin oaks that are there now lift the sidewalk. The choice of trees will be much more friendly to a pedestrian area, and also provide, color, and then one of the other things that we want to do, which is in the plan, is unify all the colors and the bases of all the signage and the lighting, so the black that we have throughout downtown, and then improve the crosswalks. As you said, the crosswalk at the Suffolk Theater is a good, important crosswalk, but that's going to become much, much wider and lit, and pedestrian triggered, so when you walk through it, it lights up the side, it lights up the street. It's the entrance to the town square, so we want that to be prominent.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and so that's going to be fully funded, and the utilities also have to go underground.
Underground. That's a big chunk of that funding because it's so expensive
It's
to bury the utilities.
$7,000 a foot.
That's crazy.
Wow.
$7,000 a foot, but there's a good amount that's already done, and so we've been over time smartly doing that. The individual developments that have gone through there have been required, and so they'll come down in front of the Heatherwood project as soon as that starts, and then it's a section between there and I think like West Marine maybe. It's not that long, thankfully, because that's going to be a big deal. But just the vista, when you don't have the wires in your way, just changes dramatically.
It does. If you stop at the light at Maple and Main and you're looking westbound, you just to see all the transformers and the power lines and all the objects that are attached to them, it's so unsightly.
Yes.
And when you walk into a town or a city that has their stuff underground, it's just a cleaner, crisp look. It really looks so nice.
Yep.
But the downside is it is so expensive to bury that
Yes.
stuff.
And it gives us more sidewalk space. So, and then the whole stormwater management will be managed through this whole project. So we have the way downtown was designed; it all flows down to the river without being impeded by anything. This was all designed to catch that, process it through some dirt, and filter it out before it reaches the river. And that will help our flooding problem, because the flooding problem, as we've learned through Army Corps, is compounded. So it comes up from the river and comes down from the hill, and it's all pooled up in that one area. So this will solve all of that as well.
Yeah, that's my concern about having a lot of concrete either on the top of the town's, upper town square or lower. I just want to bring up something. So if the DOT doesn't approve this, right, narrowing of the street.
They have already,
They have, I'm
Yep.
sorry to hear that, but because I know that only because traffic is going to get, population's going to grow, but 4 years ago, the Business Advisory Committee acknowledged the width of the sidewalks after UDA said 100% build out, and they said it has to be 85%, and Tim, I know you saw it, how it worked on the north side, and willing to give whatever they lost on the ground up in height. The only reason why, because I look at East Hampton, right? How wide that is, how great they are with controlling pedestrian traffic with blinking lights on the crosswalks. And the difference between us and West Hampton, I'm just going to say it for the record, is that on both sides of their main street, where their retail is, they have north and south roads. That if you're not visiting downtown West Hampton, you can go straight through on the west side, straight through on the east side. But at any rate, I get it. Now we're going to be building these sidewalks as opposed to the developers giving the 85%. But I agree with you 100% on the grass. The least concrete, upper and lower, the better it is.
and I think the new trees will be more more manageable,
No,
look
they got-
better.
They'll have tap roots instead of spread
yeah,
roots
trees
and
and-
won't tear up the
Yeah,
sidewalks.
they're tough. The ones
What
we
about
see
Mr.
that.
Rothwell's cherry trees? Would they work?
I think
veterans-
our landscape architects have selected trees that they think are appropriate, and those trees will carry right into the town square so that the colors, so you're led into that area. And, and as we move along, things flex and change, and so we're getting close here, very close. But if there are things that come up that need to be tweaked or adjusted, there's no problem in doing that. I know there were concerns about putting too many benches in. Okay, so maybe we don't put the benches in right away because we don't
Well,
want
this-
to do that. Or,
We can always phase
there's,
those in too.
yeah, exactly. And there's so much more funding. Project is going to get built, and then we just continue to work on things to make it better. And so there's always, it's not a static thing. It's not a one and done. It's an evolving thing, and whatever we want to do with it, it's our space.
Benches could be handled very easily by doing either individual seats or benches with a divider in the middle that can't be
Yeah.
removed.
Right.
So just in
Nobody
case
lays
anybody
across
got
it.
an idea that that's a nice cot to use and sleep overnight, it's not. So,
That's what they do.
And the
Yeah,
safety,
exactly.
the safety that will be increased by the brighter lighting and the cameras, PDs being close by, the parking garage is slated to have a police substation included in it. All of that, plus more people downtown. So we have a new building coming in, that's another 165 units. That'll be 300 people probably now, boots on the ground, living downtown, more eyes on the street, more people. And when more people are there, it's always better for everyone, so.
Yeah, I'd like to see sail shades and less trees, because, sail shades can come down, and, there's a lot of maintenance with trees.
Are you
And,
against trees?
no, I'm not against trees, I am
It's a tree
for
vendetta.
he said that, okay? None of us did.
No, I'm not against trees, I'm for more open, programmable space is what that's
We're
what
gonna,
I'm
we're gonna
into.
cut to those renderings in a second, I think you'll see
So
that
far,
there's.
Bob, it's lots of cars, no trees.
Lots of
easy.
cars,
The
no
asphalt
It's easy.
jungle.
Yeah.
No, not lots, you're not gonna have any less cars if you narrow the street. We'll see what happens.
slower
Okay.
cars.
And, so the parking garage, just cut to that, we can go to the next, project, I think. And that, as we know, was funded substantially by the federal DOT, and we have, 2 million jumpstart, so there's a little shortage. But we think that parking can, be covered with the revenue generated from the garage. We're working on our parking plan now. That parking plan needs to be informed by the study that Kevin Wood is doing. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that now until the spring. It's been delayed too long to make the information as valuable as we want it to be, so that'll be happening in the spring now. But it's okay, because we're not ready to pull the trigger on it yet. We don't have a contract, and we should have a contract by then. So, but making sure that we're working on all of these pieces of the puzzle so that we understand how it's all gonna work, and that when it comes together, it dovetails nicely has been critical. And so having Kevin devise a parking management plan for us is really an essential function, so. What's next? We think we're gonna be done with the master developer agreement. I think we can go to the next slide. By the end of this month, we hope, we want to hold the qualified and eligible sponsor hearing. If that is a successful endeavor, then a master developer agreement would be signed. We would then work to process the site plan for the hotel, town square and playground. We're working on the seeker review for all of that now. We think that will be May of the next year. Obtain all the necessary permits, May of next year. Close on the sale to the master developer in June of '25. Make sure we're working with all our stakeholders and doing public outreach to help everybody understand, A, what's happening, how they're gonna access businesses, making sure the signage and public information is available so that we don't have any surprises. Surprises are never good. Then we would demolish the crafted building, and the construction of the hotel would begin in August of '25. and we break ground on the town square in September of '25. And I think that's a very realistic timeframe, given where we are right now. And I know people are anxious to see the renderings, so right here is an interesting view from the river. It's kind of like higher up from the river, maybe from a bird. But you can see the adaptive playground on the left side, and in the middle, the splash pad. Then you have, or actually splash pad sort of on the right side, but that pathway goes down to the river. It's fully accessible, so if you are mobility challenged, you could park in the parking garage, get to Main Street, and get all the way down to the riverfront without any assistance. And then the town square, we could just cut, you can go to the next slide.
Dawn, is there a ramp there when you come off on the east side?
See the curve? Yes.
Yeah, it all,
That's the ramp
it all
coming down.
ramps.
Right here.
On the left
So,
side.
I know we talked about putting the splash pad closer to the playground, so if somebody had their kids and two of them were on the slide and one wants to go on the splash pad, how are they going to watch both at the same time?
Well, we want the splash pad to be a feature that not only serves children, but also serves as an entertainment feature at night. So it would be lit. It'll have different features. It looks wide here from the view. It's much closer to the playground, and you can see the entrance to the playground is right where that circle is, right there. That's the entrance to the playground. So it really is very close, and the playground is going to be fenced. So if your children are in the playground, they cannot leave the playground except for that entrance on the east side, which is right
So that
adjacent
splash
to the
pad will
splash
be
pad.
fenced in?
No, the splash pad will not be fenced. The playground will be fenced. The splash pad is not fenced.
If you're having an event, are you able to shut the splash pad
Yep.
off and be able to utilize that as space?
Yes, that whole space to the right side is all event spaceable.
Is that a lot of grass around there or concrete?
It's where you see the people, the figures there, that's all pavers. It's all hardscape.
We've talked to them sometimes during the development of it, like, to push it, that it actually reaches the waterfront. So when you go through Heidi Bear Way, like, I don't see, early on, we talked about, like, sitting area, gather area. There could be a bar along the water, to sit, a place to have a sandwich, or, anything, like, how are we getting it? I want to, like, reach the water so the water is part of the attraction, like, that it's
So
not just
you
a
can't
secondary thought.
You can't see it in this slide, but that pathway reaches to Heidi Bear Way, and it will be a raised crosswalk, which will slow down the traffic on Heidi Bear Way to get you to the Riverfront Park. The Riverfront Park is going to need to be lifted up about 2 to 3 feet. That bulkhead has to come up. That's a whole nother project. That's a good view. Right, thank you for
I was
that.
going to say your next one too also shows
Yeah.
the playground a lot closer to Heidi Bear Way.
Yes, it is. It's very close, but it has to be lifted up about 4 feet to be flood protected, so it can't be a smooth transition from Heidi Bear Way to the playground. Otherwise, we're going to lose the flood mitigation opportunity there. And so you can,
But is there gonna be any gathering or anything on the water other than just like
so we.
the dock is on the other side of the road? Like,
We haven't been able to work on designing that. We don't have funding for that, and we don't have funding to do the project. That will be the next thing that we have to do, but the way we've set it up, it's a phase. So that if you look at the downtown activation plan that was done by UDA a couple of years ago, you can see that each one of these things is an independent phase. And we have ideas for it right now, but we don't have funding, and we don't have the ability to even work on that design.
privatize it? Can we allow other people to develop along it? I love going to Port Jefferson. I love walking along the water. I like sitting on the water and
Yeah.
having lunch, like literally being right there. And I just think we're missing that. It's Roanoke River is the most beautiful part of the whole thing, and we're kind of like, I don't want to like ignore it. Like, okay, it's on the other side. So how do we physically gather right on that?
It's still gonna be the green space that's there now. We can put temporary kiosks, but doing any kind of construction there, when we have to raise that all up, even Heidi Bear Way has to come up 2 feet. And once that comes up, it will be more seamless, but right now it's gonna be a little bit, of
But
a
when we're
step.
putting all the infrastructure in, the electric power, all the other stuff, can we bring it to water's edge? And then even if a private developer wants to lease a portion of the property and build a burger stand, a drink.
Yeah, those are,
You know, lunch, sandwich place, that you can have something, you know what I'm saying? I'm just
yeah,
thinking,
no,
I want-
agree, I completely
because
agree, and I
think-
think there's a lot of opportunity there, I'm not disagreeing with you at all, it's just, right now, the focus has been on the upper square and the lower square. The riverfront corridor is a very great opportunity, it's just a tremendously expensive project to raise that bulkhead and the boardwalk and then redesign it, but Heidi Bear Way it needs to remain as a fire access road for the apartment buildings too, so all that has to be taken into consideration, but there's no doubt that that's the next jumping point for us
But
once.
I just, why we're building a town square, do we need to run electric power?
Well, there's
water, all the
electric down
things to
there
get
already.
down there
There's
to the site?
there's electric down there. If you wanted to put something, you'd have to connect sewer, but sewer is very close to this location. There's definitely potential, but we haven't explored, and there's, like, some of these budgets are super tight. We wouldn't have
Even
extra money.
if we just did a preliminary design without actually putting any money in the infrastructure, but can we say that there's a space that could be rented as a retail shop that's 20 by 40, there's another, you know, a food shop that could be another 20 by 40, where you could put a few different things down there, and then a private company could come in like, yeah, you know what, that's a perfect place to have, you know, drinks on the water, perfect place to have a sandwich shop or, you know,
Yeah.
breakfast shop. You know,
So the other.
and then let them build it so that we don't have to.
Yeah, and that would have to be strategically done because the riverfront is actually a park, and so we can't alienate the park from the public. So, again, great opportunity to do things, but that's a little bit down the road right now. We've been really focused on the project we're doing now. That west parking lot is a tremendous potential, in our view, to do public-private partnership with a big waterfront development, you know, really water-facing, privatized restaurant, whatever it is, that's certainly, you know, next on the list, but for now, we got a lot going on. And also, just to give you an idea, the design, the preliminary design for the East End Arts Amphitheater project was $200,000. So it's a lot of money to just even get the preliminary design.
So with that 200,000, is there a sound engineer involved in that design?
That's the next phase, that'll be final design. We don't have the funding for that right now. So that would be a component of the final design where the engineering is done. The stage, the construction drawings are completed for that.
Right.
And those components, what the lighting looks like, all of those finer details will be knocked out.
So the way that this is oriented here right now,
Oh, wait, I just wanna slide to the next slide.
This one's kind of good to show, like, what we're talking about.
Yeah, so if you look at this is a view that's up on the screen from north to south. If you slide back, or if you slide back one, that's the view looking from south to north, the Suffolk Theater. And right to the right of this, where the person is sitting over on the right side of the screen, that's right where the splash pad will be. And the entrance to the playground is just on the left where that bench is. Very, very close, but you could see the connectivity and the public opportunities there. And you can go to the next one, and that's a look from Main Street to the south. I'm sorry, the quality of the rendering doesn't come through in the PDF as good as it looks on the presentation, but you could see how it might look from the north. And then the next slide is a broader view of what the square will look like. It's very basic, and the white buildings don't make it look as interesting as it's going to look when that project on the east side is developed. All of the lower section of that will be storefronts and access, public, access places of interest. We hope that will happen on the west side as well. And so that when you walk down the town square, there'll be lots of things for you to do and see. And then also it will serve as event space. If you go to the next slide, that's the entry, that's it right there. Entry to the square, so that's what you'll see. And we are accommodating the slope there too, because we have to create where the people are standing here now is a fire access point. And so that has to be sloped down and get a little higher in the middle. It has to be a mountable curb on Main Street, and so that's why you have that Bosque on the right, which, sets up another little private dining space for a business. There'll be, if you go to the next slide, there'll be a water feature down a little bit further, this will be a little more of a peaceful area, the whole town square, upper square, the lower square will be a little more fun and engaging. And then you can go to the next slide, you can see the amount of space. We could fit about 800 people in this area. You could set up a little band shell just to the left side of where that checkerboard is. That's not planned, the game isn't planned there, it's just ideas, conceptual for people to see and also to understand the scale. It's a very big space. It accommodated quite a lot of people right now. Right now, when it's green, we've had a bunch of townscape concerts there that have been very busy and fun. And then you can get to the next slide, you can see how close the splash pad actually is to the playground. It's right there. And this pathway is what will take you down to the waterfront. And then at night, you can see the next slide, what the splash pad will be able to do for us at night. It'll be another fun thing to look at and appreciate. And then the next one is the playground. That Kingfisher is directly related to the riverfront. We have Kingfishers in the area, and that will be able to be, the wings are slides, you'll be able to climb up inside, get all the way in, and that will be also lit at night. It's about 18 feet tall, so when you're standing in the square, you'll be able to see that feature and enjoy what it looks like. And you can see this is accessible, the entire playground is accessible, so children can walk, and we're using the fact that we have to lift the height of the area for flood mitigation up to create those slides that you see in the background. And this is some of the simple things that we're doing. There'll be a lot more things to do in here. The next slide.
I know you've been, the Inclusion Task Force has been
Yes,
speaking with their
yep.
design ideas
Yep.
for children with special needs. That's all being incorporated into this
Yes,
too.
exactly. And so there'll be a lot of things for young kids to do, some for younger kids, some for older kids, and anybody who's mobility challenged will be able to access everything in here. And when you get to the top of the slide where you see it's right in the foreground, you'll be able to turn around, you get a wide open river view. So we want to put like some spy glasses in there, so for things for people to see and really appreciate the riverfront. And then
I can't wait to see you in there, Bob.
Me either. This is, so on this slide here, the reason, I know you spent $200,000 on this, I'm just curious.
not this, it's a much deeper design than this.
But
You've seen it.
the angle of the stage, right,
Yes,
is my concern.
and
And
yep.
do we have anybody that's actually done events that could look at this, and maybe that stage should be facing west, so that, the noise would then travel to the west, and it would lend itself to more nighttime performances than this does currently?
And that's something we can work out in the final
Okay.
design.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this is just conceptual right now, but it shows the relocation of the East End Arts buildings, the creation of a campus there. That gives them some event space to have in the middle of the buildings.
While you're on that, I'm sorry, because this was brought up earlier, but is Heatherwick going to move those buildings for us?
So that's not gonna happen. We're gonna work with them on another plan for their staging area.
Okay.
They thought about it, but they felt like the liability of relocating the buildings was just too much for them, so.
Thanks.
And then you can just see how everything connects through. Now the town square becomes one, and I know everybody hates the band shell here.
That's just that.
Ignore the band shell, but this will give you just a sense of what it would look like from standing sort of just south of the buildings at East End Arts. And it's just another very large public space that can be used not only for performance space, but also for, just the public, just for relaxing space. We could do other events down here. We can do, East End Arts can program it. The rec department, we could do movie night down here. We could do a million things. And it's just, you know, intended to be available for whatever we might want to use it for, and really recreate that public space. And so, I just included the bi-weekly design meeting in this, so you could see the kind of things that we talk about every week and the real detail on some of this design. Some of these are repeats, I apologize. I was merging two slide decks together, so. But if you roll all the way down to the one that has on the bottom, updated playground slope design, it's a few slides down. It's probably like the fourth from the last slide. There you go. That just gives you a little bit of an idea of the amount of detail work that has had to go into these designs. Every single tree, the type of planting, the type of dirt has been called out. The spaces are all designed to be available for mobility challenged people, whether they might be in a wheelchair or need a walker. There's stroller parking. There is, all really designed just to be a very family-friendly place. And then if you get to the next slide, you'll see some of the, we're selecting colors for the pavers on the square. The trees have been selected. The water features is in view there, so you can see where that is. And then we've been working on the water feature. If you skip down a couple slides, that's a possible rendering of a hotel, what the hotel might look like, which, has to be passed through state historic preservation. But just how that water feature might look, and they were looking at, on Main Street, some of the old photographs had a horse trough, and so kind of using that. But that would also be lit at the bottom and inside, and so at night that would be a nice water feature.
I can bring my horses there.
Yeah, yes, you can.
Just checking.
I'm sure you can. So that's really the update for now. There's been a lot of things happening, so I wanted to make sure that we were able to bring that information to the public. We are really getting close. You start in the big part of the funnel and we're narrowing it down to where we get to the end. Our staff has been working super hard on the contracts. They have weekly meetings on every one of these grants. They have to complete forms, update them, so it's just a very big effort. Accounting has been deeply involved with everything that we're doing, creating the projects, making sure that all the funding lines up, the budgets work. Law department has been working with us on everything, all professional services agreements, easements, all the legal pieces of this puzzle. We've been working with the master developer on all of their pieces of it and dovetailing all of the utilities, how those work together, where we're going to put the controls for the splash pad. There's a comfort station located on right below where it says development parcel. There, we don't know what's going to happen there. That's the Long Island Science Center's building. There'll be a bathroom there. That'll be available to the playground and also to the town square. That will have some mechanicals in it as well, and there'll be some mechanicals located in the basement of the hotel. So all of these things, the entrance to the hotel, how the town square plans dovetail with the entrance and the plans for that project are all sort of now falling into place. We're super close.
Will there be a police booth by those bathrooms? Or just a small?
We don't have one planned at this point. We have a lot of police presence down in that area. And everything's been designed to be able to be locked off, locked up, secure. There'll be cameras everywhere in this area. So anybody who decides they want to do something that's not...
No, the cameras pick it up. It might be too, I'm just curious.
Well, the cameras are directly
presence.
wired to the
Yeah.
police department, so, they'll be able to see what's happening there, particularly at night.
That's great.
And you mentioned with the parking garage, there's going to be a substation,
Correct.
police substation
Yes.
there.
Yep.
So there will be a
And-
presence in downtown.
Yep, exactly. So I think
Check the cars.
we're getting very close, and we'll do this every few weeks, I think, now that we're getting a little closer, when we have a little more to update as we move forward. And yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, very exciting.
I'm excited.
I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
we're excited.
You guys have certainly done a lot of work.
That is,
Yep,
that
that's-
is not a lie.
And it's grant funded. That's
Well, that is the
fantastic.
beauty of all of this. The vision was communicated through the grant applications that we wrote, and the grant applications generated the funding, and I think they'll continue to do so. As we build this, the more we make reality out of the dream, the more people are likely to fund it, because they can see that we can convert an idea to reality.
Very surreal.
And the good thing is, this is, the people that are paying state taxes in this town are getting some money back from the state
Yes, and the federal government.
and the federal.
Yeah, so we're like at probably 35
Yeah.
million just in these projects. So that's real good public investment, and we have private investment. It's just a team effort, so that's what makes it work.
It certainly does, and it is very exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's getting more and more
Yeah, it's
exciting.
getting more and more
Yes.
exciting.
It really is. It's getting to that time
I
where
used
it's
to
like,
dream that we would win the $10 million grant, and I would say, how would I react? Like, I can't even believe that could happen. And now I think of the ribbon cutting, what is that gonna be like? I can't even, and it's coming.
It's gonna be a big ribbon.
These are the things that drive us forward, so we're pretty excited.
Yes.
You guys are doing a great job.
Great job.
And thank you for the updates.
Anytime.
absolutely appreciate the updates. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day, everybody.
Okay.
Work on that clamshell, Frank.
To your point, bring up, to your point, if a section of it wasn't deemed park, then you could have, because right now, if they're doing the whole thing as park, you're gonna do alienation of parks if somebody wants to build a sandwich shop or something like that.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Not that,
It's just like give me coffee, just sit and have
no, I
coffee.
mean, because
on
I'm
the
saying the
water.
whole thing is open, so it's something to talk to Dawn about.
Otherwise, then it could be a town-run facility instead. Our own concession stands.
Okay. Next up, we have matters surrounding Riverhead-in-Action, the September and October update. I think we have a video to run. Hi, this is Tim Hubbard, supervisor of the great town of Riverhead, and you're watching Riverhead in Action, a media campaign designed to highlight the incredible work of the 350-plus employees that comprise Riverhead's 26 departments and sub-departments, town events, projects, job openings, local businesses, and other town happenings. I hope you find this informative and enjoyable, and thank you for watching Riverhead in Action.
Oh my God, look at the video. They're actually.
Good job, very nice.
Good times.
Nice segments put together. It was good. Everybody's starting to kick in stuff for this, and it's working out really nice. So, great job. Thank you, Justin.
It just
Okay.
shows all that we do outside of what
This.
people see at
Right.
this table.
All right, next up are resolutions. Put a call in up to Antarctica and get Kevin down. And,
She took the parka off.
oh, I took the jacket off.
Dun, 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 dun.
Everybody's ready?
We are.
Resolution number 1 authorizes the removal of fixed assets. Number 2, sewer district budget transfer. Number 3, ratifies the authorization for one police department employee to attend a training course. Number 4, ratifies and accepts the resignation of a traffic control specialist. Number 5, appoints a public safety dispatcher to the police department. Number 6, accepts the resignation of a homemaker. Number 7, awards rebid for Meeting House Creek Stormwater Wetland and Habitat Restoration Project. Number 8, awards bid for one 2024 Mack Model MD6 42 dump truck for Riverhead Water District. Number 9, extends bid for e-waste collection and recycling. Number 10, authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for construction of pump station at East Wind Drive, Town Capital Project Number 19. Number 11, authorizes notice of public hearing to establish fair and reasonable sewer rent for out-of-town facilities for calendar years 2023 and 2024. Number 12, acceptance of Suffolk County Jumpstart Grant funding. Number 13, authorizes the supervisor to execute a second extension of license agreement and addendum with Island Exterior Fabricators. Number 14, authorizes extension of the time to remit real property taxes for senior citizens receiving enhanced STAR pursuant to Section 425 or Section 467 of New York State RPTI. And that's for the second half for seniors over 65. 62 or 65? Forget. Let's double check. 65 and over, so it's the second half, and the deadline is extended 5 days to June 6th. Number 15, approves a special event, Chapter 255 application for Chicken Kids consignment event.
That's a great event for young families. If you're looking to need to purchase things for your children or grandkids, or you have a new baby, great used stuff that's there. Stuff is so expensive today to buy new. And the stuff that's there, they sell is really in very good shape, and you can get good deals there. So I love that.
It's a very
Coming from
popular event every
A
year.
family with a lot of kids, it's needed.
Number 16, approves special event, Chapter 255 application for Racetrack Not Street 2025 Fall Motorsports Racing Series at Epcot.
They are having a tremendous season up there. The crowds, it's incredible. The racing's getting better and better, and I highly recommend, if you haven't been up there, to get up there and check it out.
And number 17, approve special event, Chapter 255 application for Racetrack Not Street 2025 Summer Motorsports Racing Series at Epcot. Number 18, adopts a local law to override the tax levy limit established by and set forth in Article 2(3)(c) of the General Municipal Law.
That's for us to pierce the cap for this year's, for next year's budget.
And number 19, adopts Town of Riverhead 2025 annual budget.
That would be for the adoption of the actual budget that's been presented as a temporary budget.
Tentative, right. Number 20, adopts a local law amending Chapter 103 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Town Officers and Employees, Article 6, Term Limits. Number 21, ratifies and accepts the resignation of a traffic control specialist. Number 22, accepts donation from George and Janice Gabrielson for the Recreation Department. And number 23, accepts donation from Joseph C. Dibenedetto for the Recreation Department. And that's it.
Just want to thank George and Janice Gabrielson for that donation. I think they do this on a semi-regular basis, and we appreciate it. And again, the donation from Mr. DiBenedetto. Every little bit helps, so we appreciate anybody that donates to our different departments. Thank you very much. Okay, at this point in time, that's the end of our open session. In a moment, we will close out open session and go into executive session to discuss matters under legal, matters involving potential litigation between the Town of Riverhead and the United States Navy, and that will be KERN, Howard, Prudenti, Thomas, and Mancini. Matters involving forthcoming litigation between the Town of Riverhead and Ronald, Hariri, that will be with Howard. Contractual matters involving agreement with Honk Incorporated with Howard. Matters involving medical billing for Riverhead Volunteer Ambulance Corp. With Howard and DePola. And a personnel matter, matters surrounding an internal investigation with Howard. So at this time, if we could I will make a motion for us to close open session and go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, everybody have a great weekend. I do have two quick announcements I forgot. Just that we have a burn ban and fire danger still with the red flag days. So it prohibits the starting of outdoor fires for purposes of brush and debris disposal, uncontained campfires, and open fires used for cooking. So keep that in mind until we get out of this red flag danger zone. Doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon if you look at the weather map. So we need rain, everything's so dry. And also we have a coastal flood advisory and a coastal flood statement. Minor nuisance coastal flooding is occurring or imminent, and brief minor flooding of the more vulnerable locations near the waterfront and shoreline, and that has to do with winds and storms that are out to sea. So thank you all, and everybody have a great weekend.